Hello to all my good guy dolls. My name is EJ Marino and welcome to my channel. Here I am so excited to welcome you in for some reviews. I'm going to be talking about the first episode of Chucky called Death by Misadventure. First and foremost, I want to say welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm going to be reviewing Chucky weekly. I usually do American Horror Story, but while that comes to an end, I am jumping into a brand new television show, and I am so excited. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I am a really big fan of the Chucky series. Since the original film, I have been a bit interested into this franchise, and then it's evolved. As I've gotten older, so has the franchise. I loved Bride of Chucky. I actually have a soft spot for Seed of Chucky, and even the two recent films, Curse and Cult of Chucky, have really pushed it further. Now, with this new series, we are going to a whole different level with Chucky, and I'm quite intrigued by it. This really speaks to me in a lot of ways. There is the obvious LGBT connection to the show. There is a lot of stuff being said about being bullied, about being a young queer kid. I think that is so important. Don Mancini, the creator of this franchise, is using his platform correctly. There is other LGBT filmmakers who don't really put us at the center of their stories. They usually put blonde white women there, and I'm like, oh, cool. No, you said here is a chance to put a young gay character at the lead of our show, and they're doing it. But it's not just about, our fun character Jake, who I actually really enjoy. This show is all about Chucky. We get a little bit hints at there's a big backstory coming up. I am really excited to see what that's about. But here, we get a bit of our Chucky setup. We get a little bit of who's gonna, okay, we're, putting all the pieces together. We're starting to figure out what's going on, and then we get at least one insane death. I was not prepared for the oh my god of wow, this death is out there, but that's exactly what I love about Chucky. This is a crazy franchise that has been through so many evolutions, and this new one is wild. Now, for this reviews, I usually do a quick recap here where I talk about the episode as my overall feelings. Like I said, I liked it, I had fun with it, it's a really good show. And then I'm going to get into a recap where I break down everything wild in this episode, so if you guys have not had the chance to see it, I'm going to be spoiling things in a bit, so prepare now. I want you guys to watch this. If you have not seen the first episode of Chucky, this is where you should probably stop watching and maybe tune in a bit later when you actually finish it, because let's get into some spoilers because there is so much to talk about. So our episode begins with what seems to be a flashback. We'll kind of talk about that a bit at the end when we get a little bit more of that flashback. So there's the flashback, and I'm like, oh boy, what are we jumping into? And no, we jump straight into the story. Something I love about this episode is it doesn't hold your hand. We get straight into the Chucky madness. Our new character, Jake Wheeler, finds Chucky at a kind of a garage sale, and he's just like, hey, this is a cool retro doll. Let me just take it home with me. I had this weird doll shrine thing that I'm making as a fun artist, and I'm like, okay, creepy, but sure, play with your dolls. I get it. I had weird stuff I liked as a kid, so I completely understand. I used to Frankenstein my wrestling toys together. I'm not going to shame him, but okay, he gets Chucky, he gets this doll, and then his dad comes over. It's just like, wow, we're still doing the dolls. What is up with your little weird shrine art piece? And wow, this Chucky doll is a bit wackadoo, but okay. You are my son, I don't like it, but I will deal with it. And, okay, his dad started really getting on my nerves very early on. It's Devon Sawa. This character will be called Dad Sawa. We have another Devon Sawa to deal with, which I will be calling Uncle Sawa. So yes, we see Dad Sawa basically tell his kid, okay, I'm gonna need you to be normal for a second. Family's coming over for dinner. It's your cousin, it's your uncle, it's your aunt. Be good. And we are already getting the drama, the tension. His cousin Junior is a bit of a douchebag. He's so mean to Jake, but in a weird way. It seems like he doesn't want to be mean to him, but he keeps kind of falling into that trap, because at this dinner he keeps trying to out him as gay. Jake's dad is not having it. Dad Sawa hates this gay stuff, and I'm like, oh, we're going to be paying for that in a little bit, and he gets his comeuppance. Yes, let's get rid of homophobes. But yeah, no, we see a little bit of this dinner scene. We start getting the interactions with his family, and I'm like, okay, we're starting to get into this little bit of a family, all right, and it's crazy, it's hectic, they're not getting along, so Jake kind of deals with this, sends goodbye to his friends or his family, and says, all right, let me figure out about my good guy doll. Oh my goodness, I could sell this thing for money, and I'm like, yeah, your family seems like you need it. Just get rid of this doll quickly, bro. But he does not do that choice. He decides to take it with him to school. I am not pro-bullying here, but I'm like, bro, you're already getting picked on. Don't bring your creepy redhead doll to school. I'm trying to look out for you, my friend. Again, I did some weird stuff in high school. I wasn't like one of those Naruto kids who like ran weird and stuff, but I was a weirdo. I understood, but I'm not bringing my good guy doll to school because once he brings it to school, our story goes crazy. Now that Jake is at school, we start seeing the major players in this. We have already met Junior, but we also have Devon, who is his obvious crush. Jake is really crushing on this kid, and he's this little awesome kid who's into like true crime stuff, and I'm like, okay, I hope there's a reason why you're into true crime, because that's pretty weird. We find out his mom is a cop later on, so at least that's explained. So we see Junior, we have Devon, and then we have Lexi. I have never hated a teenage girl so quickly in my life. Oh my goodness, she is brutal, she's mean, and she seems to really have it out for Jake. Like, she is so rude to him. She takes a picture of him, and she's like, oh, I just want a picture of you and your doll. She ends up making like a really mean GoFundMe of like, help Jake and his doll get out of poverty, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she is a horrible person. And while all this is happening, we're already seeing Chucky start messing with Jake. Like, Jake has to go dissect a frog, he can't do it, so Chucky says, I got you, and like makes this concoction, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Then we start seeing Lexi really start messing with him, and Chucky's not having it. There's a moment where like Chucky and Lexi are alone because like Chucky's kind of put away for storage and Lexi's alone in the room, and I'm like, get her, girl, get her. And not yet, she will probably get hers in a couple episodes. I cannot wait for that. Also at this school moment, we get a bit of a moment with Jake and Devon. It is really, really cute. It kind of scares Jake a little bit because Devon's like, yo, you're getting bullied, and I kind of want to talk about that on my podcast, and I'm like, not the way you should be flirting with someone. I don't know how that is supposed to go, but yeah, I don't know. Poor Jake, he's kind of stressed. He goes to put his doll up for sale and gets a phone call very quickly. The voice sounds very familiar. It is a local native to my area. It is Alex Vincent, who is back as Andy. We don't really get to see him in this episode, but if you know Andy, you know his voice, and he's basically giving him a heads up like, hey, I'm gonna give you some warnings. Chucky's a bit wackadoo, like, I'm gonna need you to check the batteries, and that's a really key moment where Jake realizes Chucky has no batteries. So all the time he's been talking, how, why, what is going on there? And I'm like, you will find out soon. So basically shenanigans happen. We end up at a talent show where people are getting their time to shine. Devon has a cool little piano solo, and Lexi comes up and tries to read everyone to filth. She tries to out Jake, and Jake's like, I'm not doing it, and Chucky's like, no, we're not doing it, and goes up there and has a bit of a ventriloquist stand-up act with him, where Chucky is roasting people. He's starting to know, like, Uncle Sawa's wife has some secrets that he's about to expose. He goes through Lexi's phone, and I'm just like, oh, Chucky is doing it. He gets Jake suspended, but yeah, Jake's gonna need the time off of school in a bit. Yeah, I really liked this talent show moment. I thought it was a very good moment. It really started to see that maybe Chuck does have his interest for Jake. Like, maybe he's trying to help him out. And I'm like, oh, Chucky, you murderous, nice, sweet boy. Sure, great. Anyways, so because of the talent show, Jake gets suspended and his dad freaks out, and it leads to a very powerful moment of basically being like, his dad's just like, I don't want you to be a weirdo, and Jake's like, you just don't want me to be a, I'm not going to say the slur, but yeah, he's like, it's a really good moment. It is very impactful, and I'm really like, oh my god, Dad Sawa needs to go, and Chucky takes care of him. Yeah, in the coolest moment of the episode, where Chucky is basically has a bunch of like liquor in his system. Dad Sawa goes to fix something, and Chucky just vomits out all the liquor and electrocutes him. Jake also happens to walk in on this. He's kind of hoping he didn't have to see his dad die, and he just kind of knew that Chucky was there to do it, but he is further traumatized after losing his mom, apparently. Now losing his dad, he has to go live with Uncle Sawa, and it is a bit of a moment because Junior's just like, okay, what's going on? Oh no, I am scared, I am nervous, and I'm like, oh, you should be, because Chucky is in your house, and Chucky is here. This is actually the first real moment where we see Chucky full on alive, full on having a conversation, and starts letting Jake know, this is what's up. This is what we're going to be doing. we're going to work on something together. And I'm like, oh my god, where is Tiffany? Where is Andy? Where is, like, anyone to tell him that he is not making the right choice by teaming up with Chucky? But maybe Chucky can teach him to stand up for himself a little bit. I'm very conflicted on the Chucky might be the savior of bullies, or could just be, like, teaching a kid to be a killer maniac. I don't know yet. We will see how this season unfolds, but for a first episode, this was jam-packed and so entertaining. The only thing I really missed in this recap is the cop who is Devon's mom, the young boy Devon, is a bit curious on what's going on. She finds the dead body, they start investigating. She thinks Jake's okay to go for now, but there seems to be more there. I can't wait to her to figure this out. Maybe we won't have a dumb cop in a horror film. It's impossible because cops always have to be dumb here. But fingers crossed she could actually be smart. She'll probably end up dying, but fingers crossed. Overall, though, this was a fun, jam-packed episode. What a premiere. The filmmakers behind this, a round of applause. I think it could be, like, done technically a little bit better. Some of the score to sound design stuff felt a little odd and disconnected, but I thought cinematography was strong. I thought the acting was strong, and the story is very compelling right from the jump. This is exactly what I wanted from Chucky, and I am so happy it's here. What did you guys think of this episode? What do you think of this review? Are you guys going to be checking out Chucky? If you're not, at least join me for these reviews, because I'm going to have a great time breaking down all this good guy madness. And if you guys are interested, let me know. I want to know all your feelings about Chucky down below. Make sure you guys subscribe and give me a thumbs up, because YouTube takes those way too seriously. Alright everyone, let's talk about Chucky down below.